You heard that music, so now you know it's game time. It's the Fandom Foundry and our show called Why We Play, where I talk to cool people and learn a little bit about their gaming past, present, and future. I am Todd Oxtra. I'm player one on this podcast, joined by player two, and that is Matt Sowinski from Console Creatures. You may have heard him on other podcasts in the past, and he is one of the nicest Canadians you could know. Although most Canadians are pretty nice, so you might be on the mean scale, but you're still very nice. So Matt, I'm not sure how you arrange that. I don't know if you know any really mean Canadians or not.
There are some mean Canadians up here for sure, Todd. So I would say I'm pretty average on the spectrum. There are definitely some nicer folks. There are definitely some meaner folks, but I'll plant myself right in the middle there.
Okay, and I think Canada, specifically Ontario, Toronto, is most famous for your mayor?
Oh, good God! And I'm blanking. Good old Ford. That guy's he's something. I'll just say that much. He sucks.
Well, in Minnesota, we had Jesse Ventura, the former wrestler and co-star of Predator, as our governor.
All right.
Well, there you go.
I would pay to see a wrestling match between him and Ford go down. As long as it ends in a way I would hope it to. But yeah, that guy is something, and it's him and his lineage of other Fords that have taken not presidency, but that have been the premiers for the province, and just they're interesting folks.
Well, it's good to know that America isn't the only one that shares in its odd history of leaders. But you know what? We're above that. I think, if anything, we'd prefer to have a video game character in charge rather than our current leaders. So, Matt, the reason we're here is not to talk about Canadian politics. We're here to talk about your history in video games. And some of you people have seen Matt on Secret Friends Unite previously on co-op mode, and now we're in a new era. And I was talking to Matt the last time he was on, did not have a baby. He now has a child of age of 2. He's a married man, and we'll probably kind of ask some questions about how fatherhood has kind of changed your relationship with gaming. Before we do that, let's talk about your past. So Matt, what is your gaming origin story? And just what got you to this point that made you decide that games were not just a hobby, but they were going to become a way of life?
Man, it's crazy for me to think now, as we spoke for a couple minutes before the show, having a kid and all this stuff, just how much time is both a nebulous and very real concept all at the same time. To think that I've been playing games for like 30 years now is a crazy thing for me to be able to say out loud. But they've always kind of been around. Growing up as someone, in a family of immigrants, where was a point where it was my parents, my grandparents, my uncle, all living all together, and he had a Genesis that he would sometimes let me sneak in and play in his room. But the most formative memories really turn the corner when I remember, I think it was like Christmas of like 96 or 97. My parents got me a PlayStation. And I opened that bad boy up and I was like, let's go. I don't know what this is, but I'm sure excited to try it. And then they sent me to bed. And I was like,
what?
This is some inside work here. Because the next morning, obviously, as kids do, Todd, you would know very well, they like to wake up very early in the morning. So I got up at 6:30, ran down the stairs. I'm like, I'm going to figure out what this thing is. My dad and my uncle were still awake. They had stayed up all night playing it. They sent me to bed because they wanted to, to break the thing open rather than letting me. So
that's them kids, right?
That's them kids. But that was kind of really, it was the world of Disney's Hercules. It was Crash Bandicoot. These things that showed me, whoa, hold on. I was always a kid with an active imagination, but this felt like that put on the screen in front of me in a way that was interactive, outside of the Sonics and the Power Rangers, where I was just a participant in viewing what was happening in front of me. That PlayStation really cemented itself in my canon, and that led to things like the Game Boy, the GameCube, the PS2, the Xbox 360, and it all started with that PlayStation. That was the first thing that really opened my mind up to what this medium is and could be. And it hit me, which is why, I host a PlayStation podcast now. It's why that PlayStation has been my consoles ever since the beginning, is because I have really formative memories around it, not just in myself, but also back in the days when my dad, we used to, play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 all the time together. Those the days when he would still play games. He doesn't really do that anymore. So there's a lot of memories, with my brothers. There's a lot of formative memories that I have in that space. And it's just always been a place for me to retreat to when, when things got loud, or when the mental health wasn't going so well, or when I just needed a way to communicate with friends when they were far away, when we weren't, or down the street from around each other anymore. It's always been that space for me. And it's so exciting to see where it's turned into over the years. Toxicity and garbage people aside, that's unavoidable no matter where you are. But this place is special,
Oh, I totally get it. And it's funny. I feel like we're decades apart from our ages, because you're very dating me now, because my first system was the Atari 5200, a garbage video game system that never really had some great games. One of the worst controllers. Then I got a Commodore 128, which a lot of people, Commodore 64 was their first computer, which primarily was just used for video games anyways. And then I got an NES I bought it from my neighbor, who bought it from a thrift store, or I guess it would be a flea market where we're from. I don't know if they have those in Canada or not, or they call them the dirt mall or whatever, where people are just selling used stuff. And then I kind of left video games, just rented systems, things like that. And then in college, I got a PC, a really bad PC, but that's what really got me back into gaming. But then right before I graduated, my girlfriend at the time and my friends in college saved up their money, and they pitched in and got me a PlayStation. So that was 97, I would say 97. So yeah, we're a little bit apart. You started before me. But wow. And to think about that, Matt, it's only 30 years old now.
Only, that's it. Right?
Only.
It's been drinking for a while.
It has been. I mean, at 30, I guess it's got kids, maybe. It's
possibly
thinking about what it's going to do in its future. Maybe not had kids, going to have a few kids eventually. I mean, it's had many kids since then. It's had, the Vita, the PSP, and many other siblings or offspring, we're going to call them, down the road. But yeah, so with that, and you said you start with the Genesis. So we're talking about even going further back. Now we're talking 40 years of gaming. Obviously I think you're younger than 40. I don't want to age you. So, but that Genesis was there for you and availability. Whereas myself, the only other video games that was before I existed were arcades and the Atari 2600, which some neighbors did have. So yeah. So with that, PlayStation was formative with myself as well, which I think you mentioned the fact of toxicity. PlayStation obviously had an adversarial relationship with Nintendo because they kind of got left at the altar with Nintendo when they were going to loft that. So they said, screw that. We're going to find our own way. And then they sent out Crash Bandicoot to yell at Nintendo in the Redmond parking lot, I believe. You remember that cartoon?
Yes, I do. Yep.
And then PlayStation did their own thing. And then we had obviously Xbox come into the scene. Sega left as a publisher, or left as a hardware maker. So when you think about fandoms in gaming, it seems like gaming, and I don't know if it's any worse than like sports or anything else. You don't get that with like cell phones. You don't get like, Android and Apple fans are just yelling at each other constantly, or Samsung. With movie players, you don't get to say like, oh, I'm Netflix ride or die. But it isn't weird. But you do have, I think the closest analogy is to sports with your sports teams, and you're kind of lose any sense of reality. And like, why are we arguing about something where we essentially play 99% of the same games on these boxes, But obviously we came at a point where it was less clear, actually. I would say you had very few games that were shared on all the systems. And so that's why you chose a system of choice. So do you feel like and this is probably a rigged question, but do you feel like any of the fandoms are worse than others, or just we feel that way because we have biases and where we sit, and we're like, nope, they're worse, or are we all just bad?
I think there is a I think there is toxicity in any fandom. I know you mentioned, Apple and Samsung. You'll find it there if you go looking. I think there's something about these external things that we take and really internalize and make part of our identity in some way, shape, or form, that anything that goes against that grain starts to feel like it's wrong. And I don't think there's anything, I don't think Xbox fans are worse than PlayStation or Nintendo are worse than Sega or anything like that. There is differences in the companies. There's differences in the way that they conduct their business, in the way that they treat their employees, in the way that they treat their IPs. All of that is true. But when you really get passionate about something, that brings out people who leave logic and reason behind and argue with emotion. And there is no arguing with emotion. It's counterproductive. It doesn't go anywhere. There's nothing you could say. If you came to me, Todd, and you said, hey, I really like game X, I'm like, I didn't really like it. We can have a conversation and understand where you come from and where I come from, and leave that conversation not taking anything personally, but understanding that there are different viewpoints. Not everyone does that, whether it's willfully or not, and I think, social media has amplified that, because there's people who make these claims and do these things for the sake of, generating hate and comments and not positive conversation. Gaming, I think, is unique a little bit when you compare it to any other fandom outside, like sports. Music, has a lot of vitriol when you go looking through it as well.
You better not be a Nickelback fan, right? Because everybody's just brutal to them. Like,
yeah,
what did they do to you? You can turn them off.
I have a bit of unbridled Nickelback rage because I am a Canadian and they came from here, so I do understand that it's not rational. Okay. Again,
Matt, I'm from Michigan and we have Kid Rock and Ted Nugent. I mean, and I'm like,
good point.
yeah. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, oh God,
yeah,
mistakes were made. Yeah.
I think gaming, because we are actively part of the thing that's on screen, whether it is you're making your own decisions, you're just along for the ride, and a story that's being told to you, you still have an active role in that thing playing out. So a lot of people tie their identity to certain characters, to certain stories, to certain even mechanics for certain worlds. So when you're told that that thing isn't good, or X, Y, and Z is better, or whatever else, people react to it. Because of that agency that you have in the process, because of that part of you that I think you really do leave behind in any game that you truly fall in love with, that thing comes with you. I'm a big believer in the power and the positivity in what media as a whole, gaming, music, anime, so on and so forth. These things help you grow when you leave parts of yourselves there and you take parts of them with you. And when that goes awry, or when that isn't done in a way that is constructive, or done with any understanding that the thing that you love may not be perfect or may not be beloved by everyone, toxicity starts to spread, people get into arguments, and things don't go anywhere productive. So I don't think there is any fandom within gaming that's maybe worse than another. Broadly speaking, as we get into areas that are just morally wrong, yeah, they suck. But there's things there that, like, if I don't think it's just one group that's worse than the other.
I think that's a great point. I think it can be what your preference is, and then you can have a bias, and then that leads you to an echo chamber, which is horrible. Yep. Because then you do think that either you're an underdog and everybody's against you, or you think things are rigged against a platform. You hear terms like tax, whether it's a positive or a negative. I think part of it too comes into what you can afford. When you only can afford one system, you do a little bit of that FOMO, but it's the opposite. I don't know what you call it. Basically, it's this, it's like almost like a defense mechanism to basically say, I know I really want it, but I'm going to justify my purchase by being angry in a way that's not complementary to a game that maybe is not for you, or might be only way you can play it is on one system. And then it's your pushback to basically justify your purchase, which is frustrating because obviously not everybody can afford it. But like I said, now almost 99% of the games are on every box. So there's very little room to say, I am some move that some company made screwed me, so I'm angry about what they did. So I think there's a growing change. And back in the day, Matt, you even probably experienced this. The same game might be different depending on the system you had. Like Genesis had one version of the Disney games, and then Super Nintendo would have this version, or you get blood in Mortal Kombat on Genesis, but you get green sweat. I don't know what they had on Super Nintendo. So I think it is one of those things where, and if you own PC, it just seems like you're just like laughing at everybody, because it's like, why should I care?
Yeah.
Let them argue it out. I'm too worried about, being able to afford rent because I just bought a new GPU. Yeah. So now you're just angry at AI and servers and NVIDIA.
I got to go dumpster diving for a new bit of RAM because Lord knows I'm not going to find it in store.
Yeah. So I got one. This is going to actually be a little having fun at poking the bear. Okay. So we have like these derogatory names for each fan base, and I think we need to pick better derogatory names, even our own, right? Like this is what I want people to name my specific area of interest. So we have, let's see. So we have PlayStation fanboys, and they got this weird name that I think is horrible. It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. It's just like the worst. Pony.
Yeah, Sony Pony sucks.
It's it's a rhyme, right? It's like Donald Trump will come up with the worst nicknames. I feel like that's what we're dealing with. I want some ingenuity in our horrible nicknames, right?
Yeah, because I mean, Sony Pony feels like it came out of a kindergarten. Like we're not even talking about anything.
We're a stable of horses you ride.
Yeah, what's the point? I want people to, if they're gonna come swinging, come to hit right. Not the Sony Pony nonsense.
Make me laugh at it. Like, yeah. Oh, that's really clever.
Yeah, and I don't think we have that, and I don't. I mean, we got Sony Ponies. I mean, and even like Nintendo and Xbox, we don't really. Xbots is at least more clever. You know what I mean?
But it's still pretty lame, right?
Still pretty lame. It's at least, it makes sense robotically falling around. Like, at least that's better. And what do people call Nintendo fanboys?
I used to say Nintendon'ts because it goes back to like the days of Genesis. Sega would say, we do what Nintendo don't. So I'm like, but still, it's pretty lame.
Man.
Non-Nintendo, I don't know. So let's think about this, Matt. So PlayStation. I had one that I had in my mind. You tell me it's a good or bad. Okay. I said PlayStation because it does feel like PlayStation now does like to wring every little dollar out of us. They remake games a lot. They don't make a lot of their own. They we have to pay for everything. So I said PlayStation. I don't know. Maybe phony. Phony.
Sony phony is not bad. I don't hate it.
Phonies.
Yeah, phonies
better than ponies. How about phony ponies? I don't know. That sounds even worse. So,
man, I'm so bad with thinking of things like this on my feet because there's a level of creativity. You know what? It's funny. I mentioned this, but it's always like kids that really say things that really cut you to the core. Sometimes without even thinking it. They twist and work language in ways sometimes that it's just
even the new ways where Matt it's built on nothing, right?
That's what I mean.
6-7 or whatever.
6-7, yeah.
Okay, I got one for you. Fart Station.
That's a classic. Classic.
I've got another one. We could do some leet speak in this, Matt.
Oh,
Lame Station with an E, instead of a E, you put a 3. Lame Station.
That's not bad.
Okay, I'm gonna put that in. So that's my suggestion. So do you have one?
I'm trying to think of something that works here. Lame Station with the 3 is devious work. That is really good. Man. I don't know, man. I'd have to think about this. I'd have to really.
Okay, let's come back to it then.
Yeah.
We'll let your brain work, sizzle. So we said Xbox. So we have currently Xbot. Do we play off of Microsoft? Do we play off of just Xbox? Maybe a title that they previously had, like 360 or.
It's funny because it's almost in a roundabout way that this is an Xbox campaign kind of did the work for people. You know what I mean? Like it is a bit longer than just a singular word, but that this is an Xbox campaign, which obviously came from then to whatever level of success you would like to attribute it to it. But that almost, you know, KO'd themselves, because it's like you said with the kids, like 6-7 really has no meaning, but this is an Xbox took on a level of infamy that almost just left meaning behind, where everything is an Xbox and nothing is an Xbox. Your fridge is an Xbox, that thing's an Xbox, the cardboard box on the street's an Xbox. I kind of feel that perfectly hits where it needs to, where we take something that they gave us and we spin it and we use it in a way that doesn't work, because I kind of feel like that they self-owned in a way that we don't rarely see happen.
Oh, I've got one, Matt.
Okay.
That plays into what you're talking about. Everything's next week. How about Y box then? Y box.
Y box.
It's a question we don't know. Y box?
Y box? I don't hate it.
Okay.
I don't hate it.
That's my I'll now if you need time.
It could be we could even go with like X blot. You know, like I'm thinking like a Rorschach blot test where it is whatever you want it to be and whatever you see it to be. It is nothing and everything all
okay.
It is everything and nothing all at the same time.
So Matt, what we have to do is put this out as like a poll, like there's, and we'll have the audience speak. You can share it with the Console Creatures audience. I can share it on our Discord and around the webs, and we can see because I want people that are not just in the PlayStation fandom. I want everybody to have a voice in what they want to be called.
I like that.
Okay.
I almost think that like, man,
X-Blot.
X blot. I keep thinking about the PlayStation 1, and I feel like, you know, in the PS3 era, or even now, I mean, even like Gray Station, because so many of these modern remakes are just have like this filter of lack of color kind of plastered on them. But again, I don't love it. I'm not like really.
I've got one for you. You could well, I'm going to give you an idea. Maybe you can play with this, because we just have typically it's PS something.
Yeah.
Could you come up with a PS something, like a PS dumb plus? I don't know. Maybe that's another thing of where it could play.
Okay, I'll give it some thought. I'll play in that space.
Okay, then we got to get to Nintendo. So, interesting part with Nintendo. Everything is always, well, that's true with Sony. Everything's always a Nintendo X, PlayStation X, Xbox is sometimes Xbox
series and then a letter number, Roman numeral.
Where it doesn't always make sense, but Nintendo doesn't always make sense because they rarely use a 2, where PlayStation always uses a 2. So, okay. So Nintendo, let's see.
PS flush.
PS flush, like
PS
flush with cash,
like a toilet, because it's just garbage. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's just. Why play the thing again when you can already have it somewhere else? Like you mentioned, we have Demon's Souls at home. We have it on the PS4 or on the PS3 even. So you could play it like toilet. You could play it flush with cash, like you were kind of talking about PlayStation, where you need an exorbitant amount of money to be able to buy one of these things. That's true for any console, but you know, like you mentioned,
or you need 2 jobs to pay for it. So right, I mean, yeah. Okay. They're flushing all their studios down the toilet.
Yeah, there you go. Flushing their live service plans down the toilet, along with whatever
VR goes away, handhelds go away.
I'm saying.
All right, I think that's a good one. So we got Lame Station, PS Flush, and I put a $. You want that in there? Like
I do like that. I do like that.
Okay, I do like a good little bit of elite speak, because you know it's so cool and hip these days with the kids. We have Y box, X blot. So there we go, like the Rorschach test. So then we have X block, maybe, I don't know, like a blockhead, Minecraft. I don't know. Well,
yeah.
I'm moving on from that. Yeah, I don't think it works. It's too much wordsmithing. So Nintendo, I really do like Nintendo, because they don't like to do a lot of things, right? They like to take your money, but they don't want you to play their games elsewhere. They don't want you to use standard ways to chat with people. They just don't want you to do anything. It's the Nintendo way or no way.
They're very like, I'm trying to think of some way to play with like the fact that they're very litigious. You know what I mean? They will sue anyone and everyone for anything. There's that one guy in like Norway or whatever who's paying them every month for the rest of his life because he did
Oh,
some
because he
piracy
had ROM
stuff.
site? Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a bridge too
Well,
far.
that's what Nintendo of America is. I think they're just they basically a law firm that sometimes does localizations.
Yeah, yeah. So even just like I'm trying to think of like like how the law firms always have like the last name and last name and last name law, where it could be like Mario and Luigi Law or something. But again, like there's
Mario Attorney at Law.
yeah, there you
Wario
go.
Attorney at Law.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, could we come up with like a plan, like a lawsuit name plus Nintendo? Like, I'm trying to think of something.
I mean, Nintendo and like the Wii U, it could be Sue You.
Sue You.
Yeah.
Sue You? Would
That's,
that work?
That's something.
A little too
Maybe
deep?
a little too deep, possibly.
Would you refer to people? Would they even get it?
That's I don't know. There's a level of like understanding of the industry that comes with some of these that like if somebody calls you a Sue You on the playground, that's not going to hit hard. You know what I mean?
No, it sounds really odd. So yeah, we got to think about this. Do you take one of their characters and just turn it into something in a negative way, like
maybe
Mario own? I don't know, like you've been owned, or
that's not
you've been
bad.
owned by,
That's not bad.
I don't know. It's harder. Nintendo, it's the only one that sticks in my head. Non-Nintendo, yeah, it's like.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I have to think about this.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
We'll come back.
So this is something I will give you to the rest of the show at the very end.
Deal. We'll come back
I
around.
will hold your hands ground. So there we go. We got our rivalries. We're there. We're one away from completing the trifecta. So that, Matt, leads me back to the real part of the show, which is asking, how did you go from being a player of games to be a person who actually talks about video games in a part of your life as a podcaster?
It was one of those things where back in 2014, after I was literally just graduating university, I was like, you know what? I'm not ready for real life yet. I want to go to Korea. I want to go out there. I want to teach. I've always wanted to go to Asia. I like working with kids. Let me escape for a little bit. And with that massive transition also came a period of incredible loneliness and a lot of learning how to be truly by myself, because I going to university a couple hours from home, there's a level of figuring things out by yourself, but the safety net was always there, and hopping across the world by myself removed that entirely. So sometimes it was a lot of I was listening to a lot of Kind of Funny at the time, and they were there for me in ways that I don't know if I could ever really communicate. And especially once I got back, I went through a really bad car accident. There was a lot of nights where I was having terrible issues, from that afterwards. And again, like those guys were there for me. And it was one of those things where once I started thinking about doing something like this, I always had love for the game. It was always these things where, these properties and these games and these stories were there for me. So it was a moment of, man, I feel like there's a lot of news, there's a lot of stuff constantly about the bad in video games, and I wanted to do two things. Was one, start having discussions about why these games and why these spaces and why these franchises have positive impact and why they are good, not always, but why they can be good. And also, if I could be there for at least one person at a time where they felt they needed it, then mission accomplished. I wouldn't need, hundreds of listeners. I wouldn't need a ton of, of money, sponsorships, so on and so forth and so forth. That was never the goal. It was, if I could be there for someone at a time where they felt like they really needed it, then I can put this down one day and feel like I did something. I feel like I, just like how the guys of Kind of Funny were there for me and they would never know it. I hope, and maybe that's a too far shot to take, but that was always the intention, was I hope something that I do can help someone one day. And that's what got me to start podcasting, was this effort to be there for people, because it was there for me.
So thinking about that, obviously everybody who's into podcasts these days, who makes their own podcast, they started with different things, have done different things, learned a lot. So what
Mhm.
would you say is like your biggest thing you learned about, um, I would say adapting your craft?
Mhm.
What you started off, what did you learn to be better at either presenting, sharing, speaking? Um, Sometimes people struggle with um, having good discussion. Some people just want to fill up the room with their own voice, their own opinion. What have you learned? What's helped you basically hone your craft? And where do you feel like, hey, what's next for you in that era? Like, hey, this has been something I've wanted to do to make my podcast better or something to improve it.
Mhm.
What would be your next goal, right? Because you've been doing this a while, and you know, I think if you're too stagnant, it gets tired. You want to challenge yourself. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of early time, I think foundationally it is important not to do this alone. I think that's something that is incredibly important, whether it's with one other person, three other people, five other people. I think having the right support system around you who's going to understand and go through it with you is incredibly important. I started doing this with Destiny Cleveland, who is now doing Dames for Games, who's spotlighting incredible women all over the industry, in amazing ways, and another friend of mine. And then, as we move through this, working alongside Carpel, working alongside Court, now working alongside Rice and Denny and the rest of the Constant Creatures teams, Kata, but why though? All of these people have been formative in helping me develop, because you'll never see your own blind spots. So it was, when I was pushing my first couple reviews, and I got lucky and met Mr. Midas online, who's an incredible person over in the UK, who's been doing this and presenting and doing a lot of good work in the community. He was really and truly there for me a lot. I got very lucky in that respect. It was, hey man, I just did my second review ever. What do you think? And he hit me back with a list of things, and work on your tone of voice. Talk to someone, when you're recording the review. Talk to someone talk to it like you're talking to a friend. Get out of this, very technical mind space when you're talking about these things, because your passion isn't coming through. And it was finding and honing the craft. And I think it is important to take that kind of criticism and feedback, and and iterate on it meaningfully. And it's working with the people around you to help develop that. And even if you don't necessarily have that, it's important to put yourself out there and be open to that. You got to be in these spaces online if you're looking to have anything like this, and doing things in a respectful and interesting way, because every single person you come across, every listener, every comment, and there'll be garbage ones, don't get me wrong. You file those away and you move on. Every person you interact with, every podcast you're on, every person that you speak to, every the review that you write, every game that you interact with, there is something there to take away from it. And when you get caught up in just the long-term goal of, I want 1,000 subs, I want 10,000 subs, I want 100 subs, I want 1,000,000 subs, if that is the only thing that you're focusing on, then you'll never spend the time to understand the thing in front of you and how to make that better. So I think being open to criticism, finding people that you want to run this with, because that level of support on a bad day or understanding on a good day, all of this is foundationally important for you to be able to work going forward. I've had people ask, like, why don't you do something by yourself? And gaming is a very singular thing, but it is also a very community driven thing. And it is important for that to reflect in the work that you're doing, because you're doing all of this to hopefully build community, to bring people in, to have like-minded conversations, to have opposite conversations. All of this is important to be able to develop your craft. And if you don't put the work in, and you gotta just keep going. You can't stop, because you have to. It's only through iterating, through trying over and over and over again, maybe something hits one day. There's only one way to figure that out, right? And then also, in terms of what I want to do next, man, I feel very, very lucky with everything that I've done thus far. And, you know, I wouldn't have been able to get this far without the people that have supported me and the folks that have been there when I needed them. And the people that have offered, you know, words of wisdom and kindness. I just want to do more. I think what, you know, something that Bobby, who is the site lead over at Console Creatures, and I have been talking a lot about, and something that Kate at But Why Though has been pushing me on as well. I want to do more original content where I, you know, the reviews and the kind of the new stuff, I have all that mostly figured out to some respect.
Mm-hmm.
But to really dissect and understand a game and be able to talk about it critically, or talk about a thing that I like about this. One of my favorite pieces of work I ever did was a deep dive on Yakuza over on But Why Though, talking about why their side content works so well. And it was one of the first pieces I ever did like that, but it was a push in a direction by Kate that was like, you can do this, figure it out, like find something that you're passionate about and drill down on it. So I think that's what I really want to focus on kind of this year moving forward, is just being able to contribute to the space in a way that isn't just game is good, game is bad, here's a score, because those things are so short-lived, they're so transient, people are always moving on to the next thing. But being able to share about a thing that I love, or a thing that I think is interesting, or a thing that I think could be better in a more roundabout way, is kind of where I'd like to continue to move, because I think that is where the industry is both headed, and also you can kind of have more meaningful conversations around that.
I like that perspective, because as we go through this podcasting, when people get into their saying they're starting podcasts, I always try to figure out, like, well, what's your unique take? What's unique about you that makes it worth someone to listen to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all want to talk about the news of the day and things like that, but when it comes down to it, I think there's only so many opinions, and then after a while, it's just everybody's spouting the same opinions, maybe with a little different take. But it gets a little overwhelming, and then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, which one do I choose? And it's like sometimes you'll just choose on the personalities you like, and then go from there. So I always feel like people should really think about, rather than just doing that, here's the news of the week, and this is how what we played, and then it just that formula, that layout. It's like that's like Gen 1.
Mm-hmm.
Gen 2 is something different, and I feel like that's where I think a lot of people would find some more traction if they said, what is your unique take? What is your unique perspective? What do you love about gaming, and what would you be passionate about talking about within, versus general topics that, quite honestly, it's reaction and then it's done. It's like, did you leave a mark? Are people going to go back to episode 22 where you talked about a news of the day, and it's like, was that impactful? Did it give someone your initial review of why you love gaming? Not just because we all have an opinion. So I like the fact that you talked about what you found unique about the Yakuza games is something I think we need more of, and not more of the same, because I think there's already enough venues doing that. Nothing wrong with it. But yeah.
I think it's important also, like, as I think, as important it is to kind of find your niche, I find a lot of people can also get caught up in that, where it's this big nebulous thing that sometimes, you know, you strive so hard to be different that you never start. And sometimes it's like the thing that is unique or important about what you're doing is you, right? If the news and stuff is what you're passionate about, that's fine. Start talking about it and figure it out as you go. You don't need to have everything figured out from the jump. If there are things you want to talk about, if there are things that excite you, then start. It may not be unique at first, but as you find your voice, as you figure out how you can spin stories, you will never learn all of that if you don't start somewhere. So I don't remember where it came from, but something that really helped push me to start talking about anything in the first place was a comment that was like, there is always room for one more good one. You know what I mean? There are so many podcasters and influencers and news reporters and stuff that have huge followings that I don't know who they are, but they mean things to others. And if you don't start, you'll never be able to iterate and grow and change and develop. I think, you know, as important as it is to find kind of your niche, it is also important to start. And as long as it's something that you're passionate about, don't be afraid to change it up and to try new things. But once, I think that starting point is the biggest hurdle for a lot of people. And if they get too caught up about the grand ambition, you'll never learn how to be in the moment as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get it. And I think to this point, the only reason I say don't try to do the same thing everybody else is doing is because then if you are doing the same thing you're doing, you're most likely going to be ending within the first 5 episodes, because, which a lot of podcasts end early, it's because you aren't getting traction. You aren't getting any following. You aren't getting, like, because you're essentially competing for a lot of the same listeners. So yeah, I'm not trying to say don't make a new show, but if you're gonna do no show, talk about different stories, not the same stories. Find those stories that are unique to you, not just what is popping in this. Because Matt, this week, if I heard one more story about the NVIDIA AI thing, I was gonna puke, because I heard so many of the same things. And it's like, at that point, I'm like, it feels like the echo chamber of the video game news area, where everybody's like, oh, we gotta talk about it because they're talking about it. Like, no, if they've got it, great, awesome. If they got an expert opinion on it or somebody like that. But I would always say, a lot of us don't even know what the half the crap means. So how can we even have a real opinion versus it didn't look good or it didn't look good, or we hate it? And so it's not to condemn that, but I will also say you're more likely going to find satisfaction with what you're doing if you feel like you're being true to yourself. You are finding something where you want to hear what people are talking. Like, there's something that we all have, like, I want to hear more about this. If nobody's doing it and you want to hear about it, it must mean that, oh, you could probably bring a unique perspective on it, like you had. So I always say, yes, there's always room for one more, but I feel like right now it's very hard to feel positive in an area where you feel like, oh, is anybody listening? And you're like, I can't even get one listener. And especially with me starting over from Secret Friends Unite to this, it's a struggle to get more, because when I started in 2014 in Secret Friends Unite, it was less crowded. Now it's far more crowded. So it becomes I just hate to see people start something up and then just give up because they feel like they're not getting any attention. So you have to kind of ultimately do it first for yourself, and then get some feedback. To what Matt said, I think, get some feedback, and you may not like the feedback, but as long as you feel it's constructive, then there's obvious reason. People aren't going to say something to be mean to you if you trust them. They're going to probably tell you, sometimes you got to get out of your own head. This could be really good. It could really improve what you're doing. Because if you stuck in your ways, sometimes that could be tough. And you're absolutely right about the just get out there and start doing it. Because when I was starting this thing up, I was like, oh, I gotta get the website first. Well, I gotta do this exactly. Like, nah, you'll get that stuff. It's really the stuff you want to do that will make you happy, versus all that stuff. So yeah, well, very good, Matt. So yeah, improve yourself, your craft, because people will know it, and then you have to reinvent. Just do it. You know what? No one's going to be mad if you do, and if they are, then maybe you can convince them it's well worth joining on the journey. So from that, Matt, I gotta really, I think a lot of people typically get asked this question, but I want to say this: what is a game that if it was removed from your memory, your history, it would make you very sad? Like, if it wasn't there anymore, didn't exist, or maybe you got one game, but it never had any sequels or anything, what would that series be that you just feel like that is so important in my gaming life, whether a game or a series or a character? What would that be for you?
For me, it would definitely be Persona 4 Golden. That game for me is my favorite game of all time, even still to this day.
Did you play it on the original hardware?
I played it on the Vita. I played that thing on the Vita. Obviously not Persona 4 on PS2, but the Golden was on Vita. And that's where I played it. And it was, again, because I kept hearing Greg Miller on Kind of Fun to talk about it. So I was like, okay, let's dive in. And that game hit me at a time of transition. I was playing it as I was leaving university, leaving a community that I felt very entrenched in. I was doing a lot of volunteer work. I was doing a lot in that space. And it was a community that I'd lived in for 4 years. And that, when you're 20 years old and change is coming, it feels monumental. And Persona 4 Golden was truly there for me because it gave me that sense of community, this group of friends in a small rural town in Japan as they deal with larger than life things. uh, really connected with me, and it almost lit the fire that would become my modern day gaming life. It was, again, it was like I wasn't playing as much through the last couple of years of university, only because, you know, exams, life was busy. I was
You're
still playing
busy,
a
yeah.
lot, but
Social life,
yeah,
busy, yeah.
but you know, Persona 4 Golden was that thing that was like, man, I forgot that games could be this. I forgot how much you could truly identify and fall into a place that you've never been. The sense of nostalgia and wanderlust for an area that might not exist in the way that it is in front of you, but it holds such a special place in your mind and in your heart. I remember, like, you know, it was one of my last family vacations that I had ever gone on, because, you know, money was always tight growing up, but every year my parents always made the effort to you know, pack us all in the car, you know, hook up a TV with the GameCube, and drive somewhere, and go
I'm
somewhere
jealous,
together.
Matt. I'm jealous. As a kid, I was lucky if we had a FM radio playing because my parents did not care. They said, "F them kids. I'm listening to my
Yeah,
old music."
that's what I mean. So it was, I was very fortunate to have that despite everything going on, they always took, if it was 3 days, if it was a week, that
Mhm.
space always existed. So for me, what I really truly consider my last, like, quote unquote childhood family vacation, um, I remember I suffer from terrible motion sickness. I always have.
Mm.
And I was in the back of the car, you know, a blanket over my head, playing the Vita, sweating, you know, my butt off,
Oh, no.
in the heat in the car, because I
Mhm.
couldn't look outside without feeling sick, but I also
Yeah,
couldn't stop playing.
playing.
And that, you know, led me to a lot more. That led me to exploring the JRPG genre a lot more. It led me to Persona 5. It led me to, you know, game after game, space after space, where if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would be where I am today, because it left such a mark. There's a one section that I have burned into my memory that I literally had to stop and put the Vita down, because I was like, I don't like where this is going, and
Yes.
if this resolves, I will be shattered for the rest of my days. I'll never recover. My 20-year-old heart was broken forever. Um, but there was just so, it's such a special game, and it's such a special place within gaming. On that Vita in the back of my parents' car is just, it's a memory that I like to just sit in sometimes, because for that little bit, everything was perfect. You know what I mean? You know, as life was changing all around me, as I was getting ready for monumental swings, as I was leaving a lot of the people who I, you know, had truly become family in the last number of years behind,
Mhm.
Inaba was there. That town was there. That crew was there, and if even then it ended. You know, as all games
Mhm.
should, as all games do.
Oh, they
Uh,
do. Yes.
and it's always been there for me, and it almost gave me the confidence to just kind of step through the next stage of life, and continue on. But man, like, it is simultaneously, I would love to remove it from my brain just to experience it again, but at the same
Sure.
time, the context and time around it was so significantly tied into what that game was for me at the time that I played it. It's almost impossible to remove it from that space.
Oh, I love that answer. Thank you so much for sharing. It's interesting because I have a similar experience in a genre that JRPG is just a genre I don't normally get into, but I would say Final Fantasy VII was one for me. I
Mhm.
was got just in the Air Force, just had moved to Florida. My fiance wrote me a Dear Todd letter from, well, Dear Todd email from the Mediterranean. She was in the Navy. I was in the Air Force, and I was playing Final Fantasy VII at the time. And that's why that game means so much to me because it helped occupy my brain at a time. If I didn't have something to occupy my brain, I would have been very depressed, very by
Mhm.
myself because yes, I was at the time I was in a training assignment in San Antonio, Texas, and I was around pretty much strangers
Mhm.
that were I was connecting with every day. So I didn't have anybody there, and family was states away. So it really helped. Like I said, occupy my time to make sure I could focus on something else. Gave me a sense of accomplishment where I felt like, man, I'm not doing well in life and I'm not accomplishing anything.
Mhm.
So that would be my game probably that, I have other games I like more, but that's a game where I feel is important to me. And it's funny that you mentioned Persona 4 Golden, because I think my son would point to Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royale, because he played both of them all the way. He was at a point in his life where he was becoming, from a, I don't know what the era is, like teenager to more of an adolescent, that era where it's life is weird. He's trying to figure out who he's going to be from, junior high to high school. And he struggled with some things. And I remember watching him play that game, and he loved it so much. I think the music has influenced him now, because he's a music education major. He's going to be a music teacher.
Amazing.
And that soundtrack, he just talks about it. I mean, the fact that he learned about the character from Smash Brothers, Joker.
Nice.
It was just the weirdest thing in the world. And then he devoured the game, devoured the music, and I watched him play. So it means a lot to me that I got to watch him play it and enjoy that too, because I wasn't sure where he was heading in gaming, but I mean, when I found his approach, it makes me feel like, wow, he's becoming a man. So it was a very, very good time. Well, I love that Persona 4 Golden. I've heard so many good things about it. It's obviously more available now, which is fantastic. Not just on the Vita, it's on PC, other places, which is amazing, because it kind of sucks those games that are stuck on hardware. Which actually leads me into a question. If you could take one of your favorite games that's available everywhere now, put that on a piece of hardware where it's stuck, but then take a game that is stuck on a hardware that has no clue if it's ever coming, what would you trade out?
Oh man, that's hard. I feel this is a weird, potentially. No, you know what? I know what I'm going to go with. I'll start with the game that I would kind of put away. And as much as I feel like I'm one of the defenders of Infamous Second Son, which a lot of people.
I love that game.
I love that game as well. There's a lot of people who detract from it, who complain about the protagonist, so on and so forth. I was so enraptured in that world at the dawn of the PS4. I remember driving, an hour and a half away through a blizzard because, that's where I was able to find a PS4. I literally called my mom. I'm like, graduation is coming. Can this be my graduation gift? And she's like, you're 3 months away. I'm like, yes, but they have one now. I need to. So hopped in the car.
I'm going to graduate. And I can enjoy this now. So,
I'm like, please, mother, for the love of God. And I drove in the blizzard, and the Infamous Second Son was just such a cool world to live in. And the only reason that I'm kind of taking it and maybe grounding it back on the PS4.
So let's put it this way. You're basically saying this game would not be backwards compatible on the PS5.
Yes.
It's stuck there. It's stuck there. Can't come forward. You got to own a PS4 just for that game.
And it's only because it never went anywhere. I wanted more of that Infamous, and we never got it because it didn't perform as well. I mean, First Light was excellent as well, but I would take that and I would couch it there, just because I feel like if you're going to go through all the effort to find it and play it on the PS4, you might like it more. You know what I mean? Then just hop into it.
PS4s are pretty cheap because there's so many of them, so you could probably find it, get the game cheap, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And I would grab PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale by its haunches and rip it forward, because I genuinely love that game so very much. It's a recurring joke whenever we do predictions episodes. That is my pie in the sky hype prediction, is for the love of God, give me this game back, because it, again, not perfect, but being able to play it from across the PS4 to the Vita, and being able to, I was walking to and from campus ripping fights on my Vita as I was going. I think that if it had more time, and I think if it had a chance to get a sequel, I feel like they really could have figured it out, because the foundation there was so solid, and it was so much fun to be able to play. I am a big platform fighter fan, so being able to to kick butt as Nathan Drake, and be able to throw down these fights, it's just such a great game that I feel like won't ever get an opportunity at Second Life because it's stuck in the past, and I feel like it deserves another chance.
Great answer, and I feel like that's a game that you could just easily remaster and add some tweaks to it, and it would be an easy port, because it was on HD systems, right? It was on it was on what, PS3 and Vita?
Yep.
I feel like they could do their due diligence if they only had a studio that could do ports.
It's they have this whole live service push, talking about a game that could work as a live service game that you continually add to, that you could have skins, that you could have all of these things that they so desperately want. You could do all of this.
They've got too, and go to the back. Bringing bringing Jumping Flash. Cool.
Yeah. And especially if they somehow work out a deal to get like Spider-Man, like that you're printing money, and I feel like they let the first one left a really sour taste in the execs' mouths that I feel like you were so close. It was great as is. If you just did a little bit more, you could have had something huge. And why?
Especially, well, now they're getting into Marvel Tokon. I think maybe, unfortunately, they no longer own Evo. I think they sold it. So, but yeah, I think that's a opportunity to get back into a space. They definitely could, especially I think of how many new franchises they could play with. I mean, the Bloodborne guy, well, or maybe From would be like, hell no, you're not touching them based on where they're at now. Like From doesn't want to do anything unless they're involved, but they have no time to do it. And they just are like, yeah, we're making too much money over here. Well, great choice, Matt. I appreciate that. We're going to follow up with another question. What's a franchise or genre you have FOMO for? So when I say FOMO, not like that, if you had more time, you'd play more. It's just a series that you feel like, man, I think I would love playing it, but every time I've played it, it just never clicks. And now I just need to finally just say, no more. I'm not getting tricked again. I'm not going to get fooled and waste more money and time on something that's just not for me.
And maybe this is a blanket statement, but Bethesda games for me, man, are just, I just can't do it. I try every time. I tried with Skyrim. I tried with Starfield. I've tried with so many of their games. I've tried with multiple Fallouts. I just don't get it. And I understand there's a lot of people that have a lot of love for them, and that's fine. I just find them kind of clunky and weirdly written, and a lot of the systems don't congeal in ways that they should. I have a really hard time sitting in any of those worlds and really falling into them. And it's just one of those things where I was like, yeah, people are excited about Elder Scrolls 6, people are excited about Starfield coming to PS5, and it's just like, I just think I have to admit that they are not, that their development style, regardless of platform, regardless of IP, is just not something that I vibe with. And I think I just have to accept that it probably won't, because it's always one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe it's just a space and time thing. Maybe it's just not what I'm in the mood for. But like, I've been trying at this point for like 15 years to get into their stuff, and I don't think I've played more than, I'll say maybe Skyrim. I really tried it for like 15 to 20 hours, and then I just like, man, I'm done. I've tried with Fallout 3. I've tried with New Vegas. I've tried with Fallout 4. I've tried with, I've run the laundry.
Maybe it's 76, Matt, right?
Maybe it's 76. Maybe that's the one that'll finally get me. But yeah, I think Bethesda games are just, they're just not for me.
A good answer now, I would say, is there anything that you would say is like, but I do like this, which you feel like, well, if I like that, why don't I like that? Is there any like other equivalencies? Because I know we get kind of like, some people would call Obsidian like diet Bethesda in their games, like Avowed and Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I've tried with them too. Like I tried to get into Outer Worlds. It just didn't click. I've tried a lot of the Obsidian stuff. There's just something about the way that they put their games together that just doesn't fit in my mind. Maybe it's their approach to open world design.
Well,
maybe
they are kind of similar because they did do the
New Vegas.
So maybe they're in that school of thought. Is there other? Okay, how about this? Just a Western RPG. Is there like a Western RPG that you love? Because I know you're primarily you love JRPGs, but is there any like Western RPGs you like?
Yeah, like I love like The Witcher 3, and maybe that's a bit of a kind of generalized answer, but again, like I think it was the way that you kind of fall into that world. I always have, and it could even be as much as I think I have an easier time living in a world if it's in third person. I like first person games just fine.
Yes.
But every time that, like, Bethesda, whenever you switch to third person, in the games that let you do it, I always find it just looks janky. It looks weird. Like it's not even that
does.
like it has to be the
I played
apex of
Skyrim that way. I
Yeah.
played Skyrim in third person because I'm like, there's certain things I don't want to do in first person. Like I
Yeah.
hate traversal in first person, like jumping over things. I'm like, I think I'm making it because
Yeah.
I can't see my feet.
Yeah. So it's like, like Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that I really love. Witcher 3, like there are these RPG, like Western RPG
Okay.
that I do fall into. But maybe it's just the approach, maybe it's the way that things are designed. Because like, yeah, just the Bethesda and the Bethesda likes, I just can't. I don't know why.
No, good answer. I like that. I feel the way same way with certain areas. It's like, and I sometimes I just have to realize like, hey, I don't have enough time to like everything. So you know what? Maximize your time, find the fun, and don't force yourself to find the fun. If fun's not happening, just move on. And it's way too costly. A lot of games you just have to buy to figure it out. I'm like, well, that's dollars that are wasted, and I can't give that game away if it's digitally, right? It's like it's just there, and it's like looking at me like and you mentioned Baldur's Gate 3. That's a game where FOMO got to me. I still haven't opened it because I'm just stupid. I know I will not like that game because it's not for me. I've heard the story's great, and I'm like, well, I mean, I just need to watch a movie of people in their story, but it's in my Steam account. So if anybody in my Steam family wants to play, it's there for them. So
there you go.
Maybe that's where I feel like I can share the fun, but without playing it myself. Next question. This is really a little bit more forward thinking, but we talk about like a lot of the negative stuff that's going on in the world of gaming. What's the thing in the future that you're most, or where do you see gaming going that would make you really excited? Because it feels like everything is gloom and doom, pricing, technology. But what do you think is the thing that you're like, man, if they could do this, gaming would be so much better?
I think I have like kind of a two-pronged thought to this. For on a personal level, I'm really excited to re-experience and recontextualize gaming as a whole with my daughter as she starts to kind of grow and kind of come into terms
I
with this.
love that.
I'm excited to be able to, I was looking through games. I was like, oh right, there was a Bluey game. I didn't care about that a few years ago, but now maybe, seeing her interact with that world, I'm really excited to gain a new layer to what has been a profoundly personal experience by seeing it through her eyes. And even if she doesn't like it or if she doesn't care, then at least it's something that it's still an opportunity for me to see it in a new light. And so I'm very, on a personal level, when it comes to the future of gaming, I'm really excited for her to interact with it and see how that shakes out, see what she does, what she doesn't do, what she likes, what she doesn't like, and just kind of live through these experiences again with her. As a whole, I think.
Oh, can I stop you there?
Yeah,
I just want to, because this is like the thing that I always hear that sometimes scares the crap out of me because I'm a dad that loved gaming, of course. And I often hear like what gamers always say, oh, this is what I'm going to do to my kid. This is what I'm going to, and I always felt like, you know what? My dad did not like force things on me in the world. Actually, he would prefer if I didn't game. So I found my own way, found my own interest. I had to ask for things. Obviously, your child will have no lack of ways to play and experience. So I'm glad my son, I introduced him to things, but I didn't force anything on him. And I think it was good. What about yourself? Are you going to be just like, she'll see what you're playing and will get curious, or are you gonna be like, nope, you're starting on Genesis games because that's where I started? Yeah.
I for me, like I want to. I will show her things. I'll be like, hey, these are all of these things. What of this interests you? Because I feel like trying to force a square peg into a round hole just doesn't work. If she vibes and she likes and she wants to continue, that's great. If gaming's not for her,
you'll feed her more, right? You'll give her more.
Yeah. Then we'll kind of continue on and kind of be like, it's a hard thing to recreate, but that feeling of like walking around a rental store back when when we were younger and just seeing all of these things in front of you. And I feel like as much as things like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus have their own issues, it also is the closest thing that we have to that experience now, where I'll literally just be like, all right, start at the top, let's work our way down. What about what are the color arts bounce out at you? What is something that you're interested in? Here's a game that I really like. Do you like it? Do you want to keep playing it? No? Okay, cool. We move on. I want her to find her space in it if it is a space that she wants to find. I think that I don't want to be the type of parent that forces her to do anything, obviously safety, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But What I'm most interested in is seeing her eyes light up because
You'll
it's
know.
what she likes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you'll know. Yep. Does your spouse game or no?
Sometimes. So
Okay.
depending on the game, depending on the franchise, depending on the thing, like we played, Split Fiction and
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
so
I
we
just
played.
finished that with my buddy Chris John over at 1 Hour 1 Decision. We took us 6 months to finish it, Matt, because we were just playing obviously
When you
online
could.
when we could find time. That's such
Yeah.
an amazing game. What did your spouse think of that?
Oh, she loved it. She loved it. We played It Takes Two together as well. She likes like beat 'em
She
ups,
liked
like
she liked talking about divorce.
the story is hot garbage, but the gameplay is just so much fun that it's a blast to sink into.
I know. I started with that, Chris, but we really got into Split Fiction. That's good to hear.
Yeah, so like she likes beat 'em ups. She likes your Animal Crossings. She's eyeing Pokopia right now, but she's like, I'm too scared because that will end everything.
Yeah.
So it depends, time and place, depending on the game.
Well, I think it's good though you have a spouse that's into that, because I feel like that opens the door for a lot of like party games and fun games together.
Exactly.
I've heard the Lego party game is amazing.
I've heard it's great.
I heard it takes everything Mario Party's been doing, which is essentially like just doing nothing and getting like 13 million sales, versus like Lego Party. Jeff Grubb was talking about that. Like, he's like, this is one of the best games ever, because they actually took notes on Mario Party, and Mario Party is just like, we could just do whatever and put it into it. So I've heard that's great. I love all those party games you can do with friends and family. So I'm glad you got it, like a little family group to do that with. My wife, she lied to me about games. She's like, I like to play gaming, and it's like that, and never did again. She plays her word games, which I get it on her phone. Totally get it. So,
yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that kind of change develops through her eyes. And then as a whole, I love new tech. Like I love seeing how gaming changes and evolves, and I don't mean just graphically. I think that's, people are always looking for, oh, this blade of grass now looks even more like a blade of grass than the last blade of grass. I'm excited to see where people can kind of dig in and make things, because now the people that are making things are the people that grew up on the same things that I grew up.
Yes.
Expedition 33 is quickly become is one of my favorite games of all time now, because it feels like a thing that I've always wanted and now got from a new perspective. The world is now more open than it ever is before, and I always find it stupid when people are like, why is this game have a woman as a character? Why is there a black person as the main protagonist? It's like, dude, there's so many different perspectives and there's so many different stories to tell, and the world is such a big and open place, and access to technology, while not universal, is more prevalent than it is ever is before. It is easier than it is ever is before for some kid who's a 14-year-old kid to start making something that they love and finding people who love what they love. What I am excited about is all of this technology giving people pathways and access in a way that has not been possible before, and seeing what shakes out. AAA will always be AAA, but indie is always more interesting because it is never what you expect it to be. It is always cool, intelligent variations. It's ways that they play with it. Again, some of my favorite games of all time is Celeste, because you take a platformer and you blend it with a genuinely impactful story about mental health and getting over and dealing with your inner demons in a way that, like, you don't see that in AAA as much as you would elsewhere. So, Diva Doses is a game that I'm excited to play about, coming out in a few weeks, where it's an RPG about making food, right? Like, there's all these ideas that
doses.
yeah, right?
Delicious food.
There's all this wealth of personality and culture and experience that is just, I feel, starting to get tapped into, and I'm excited for that, that dam to break. Hopefully, knock on wood, and we just get more varying experiences, more experiences from different places, different cultures, different people that can tell a story that I never would have envisioned or imagined, and be blown away by a new part of the world that I haven't seen before.
Oh, I totally agree. And give me 1 second. I'm just gonna hop over here. Oh, it's not there. So I guess I'll say that for later. But I work with a Mumbai office, so I have a large group of people I work with that live in Mumbai. So my company has a video game club, and we have a Discord channel. We have all this stuff, and we actually get together once a month, and they do like Jackbox, or they do things like that online. But it's local to Minneapolis and the people that live in my area, because we can meet locally. I when I put in also, we have a cat group in our group as well. So one of the people I mentioned that, I was taking a picture of me playing Resident Evil Requiem while my cat was on my lap, and like, I don't know if my cat's gonna let me keep playing. And then one of the gentlemen I work with from the Mind Boss was like, "Oh, you like video games?" So we just started chatting and we learned. So I was acting like, well, what's video gaming like in India? I don't know very much. I mean, what's the system? So most people play on Steam, sounds like, because consoles are just not cheap. It's an easy way in. But he mentioned like he's got a 5-year-old. He goes, "Oh yeah, my son's playing GTA 5." I'm like, a 5-year-old? Like,
Pop off.
yeah, what are you doing? You're like, So like, let me give you some recommendations of the games my son loved, like the Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, Plants vs Zombies. There's games that he can play in that fun space that are really fun and goofy. So it was interesting. Just like, what did you start with? When did you get gaming? And I just want to learn more about what people game. And Matt, I really feel like if we can nail down cloud and streaming, and it doesn't matter the device you have, but the experience is good. I mean, just think about that. You take away a barrier of entry that is so expensive, that is ultimately so limited in other cultures because they can't afford the box. It's not available. There's restrictions, and they can stream whatever they want on their phone, their devices. And I hope it works, because I don't think the future of gaming is on a ridiculously expensive box. I think the future of gaming is the device you have with the interface you want to use, and you play how you want, when you want, and you don't really care about what tech's involved. You just want to care about finding the game that you love and can tell somebody else, and they can also play it because they also own a screen and a controller or whatever, or they want to play with their screen. So I feel like Fortnite's been the democratizer of gaming in a lot of ways. People can play on their phone. They can play on a console. They can play on the Switch. They can play on a tablet. And I feel like that's why it's so popular. Once you eliminate the barrier of the hardware, I feel like we've done our job, and Microsoft's leading that space. But I also know NVIDIA GeForce Now is doing some great stuff. PlayStation is a little wonky at times, and Nintendo is just doing Nintendo stuff. So I mean, it is what it is. But that's what I'm excited about. I hope it happens though. But if you also live in the middle of the nowhere where you have bad internet, good luck with that.
Yep.
So you're in Canada, where the majority of places are in the Great Wilds, right, Matt? I mean, if you have city centers, and then you have like, what is the Canadian Shield? You have lots of areas. You're a big country, but population densities occur. Same thing with the States. We have big cities, but a lot of like just wide open spaces, which means it's harder for us than folks in Europe and other countries like that, where, hey, they're small, so they can have great infrastructure. So you know what? We need to yell at our officials, even the ones that are doing crack on a regular basis, Matt, and ask them to put in good internet in rural areas. So thank you for those answers. Really quickly, this is where we're ending this podcast. What are you most excited to play this year?
I mean, I think like the easy answer, like I'm very excited for Wolverine. I'm a huge Marvel fanboy. I love.
My son's named Logan for a reason, folks.
That's what I mean. And like, Insomniac has printed money with Spider-Man. I love those games dearly. But what I'm very, very excited to play that. I'm excited to play Saros. There's a bunch of games that I'm looking forward to. But what I'm genuinely really looking forward to is whatever I have no idea about yet. There are certain games that will clock you out of nowhere. Wanderstop did that to me last year, where I barely knew what it was. I saw it pop, a review opportunity to pop up for it, and I was like, let me look up a trailer.
Is that the creepy, like we thought it was going to be a horror game about running a tea shop?
Yes, but it's brilliant and it's beautiful and it's about burnout and dealing with your own pursuits in a healthy way, and it was such a safe space for a little while for me, where I just kind of sat in it for a couple of weeks in the midst of the monster hunters, and there's this like all these titans around it. And Wanderstop was this quiet little pit stop where I just made tea and hung out with people and learned about them, and it's wonderfully done. So I'm really excited to play something that I have no idea that it's coming. I have no idea that I'm going to be interested in. I have no idea that is going to hit me in a way at a time when it does. I think I'm stoked about Wolverine. I'm stoked about Saros, but I'm stoked about something that I have no idea that it exists yet, because there's so many cool stuff. There's so many different and cool, exciting things to play out there. That like I'm excited to see what comes next.
I'm a little disappointed there wasn't like it was actually a secret serial killer person who ran a tea shop and killed all of the people and buried them or something, Matt. Because that's the vibes that it gave me. Like, there's more to this. I'm like, it must have been just like, oh, there is more to it, but it's about your soul dying because of your past experiences.
It's there's darkness there, but it's
Okay.
it's the inner darkness and how that manifests outwardly rather than an external factor that's causing things to happen. And it's this weird ambiance. It's this weird space that you sit
It's
in
a very
because
beautiful game. I mean,
it's
the artwork's beautiful.
it is gorgeous. And again, like right up until the moment that I played it, it was not on my radar, and then it very, very much was. So I'm excited to see what jumps out at me for the things that I'm not expecting, because I feel like those are the games that always have to leave the biggest impact on me. Your Neon Whites, your Wandersops, where I'm like, I have no idea what this game is. Oh my god, I love this game now, and I'm going to talk about it nonstop for the next few weeks. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be surprised.
I agree. And the sad part is, well, I would say the sad part is, but so much of the excitement in gaming lands in PC on Steam because it's so less controlled. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, anybody can get on Steam. I mean, even the worst games can get on Steam pretty easily. So everything gets through there, and there's less control, and they can get there, and they can try small. They can start with like basically what is an open beta or whatever. They can do like a limited type of game, like Baldur's Gate 3 did, where it was basically like, we're gonna launch almost the whole game, but not so true. But people will buy like a billion copies. So yeah, I think we're gonna see more of those, and I wish more of those games could come to consoles quicker. Like, I have a Switch 2,
Mhm.
perfect place for a lot of things, but also then sometimes you get like, I was so excited for Dispatch on Switch 2. And then they tell us, oh, we're gonna actually defang it and make it a worse experience. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So when I try to get I got refunded for that game, Matt, because I pre-ordered it in Switch
Yep.
2, and they're like fighting me. I'm like, you guys are censoring it. You didn't tell anybody. Give me my
Yeah.
money back. And they're like, oh, we'll do you a favor this one. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Of course.
Yes, source. But the game I'm really looking forward to, and this is just kind of to your point, is a game that was shown very quickly.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe in an Xbox showcase, and that was replaced. This is
Mhm.
an indie game that is getting a lot of love. It's from not a Ukrainian studio, but it was a studio that was impacted by the Ukrainian war. And this game is finally coming out. It's called Replaced. Talk about a small studio that's playing with pixel art in a way it's voxely, maybe. I don't know what you call it, but I'm like,
Mhm.
I love this because it's not like the weirdo oddball, like I'm running a bagel shop, but we're run by a bunch of, ducks. This
Yeah.
is actually a very cool, like, somebody could do this in a realistic style
Mhm.
and it would look awesome. But the fact they're doing like this, for me, it feels like it gives this game an identity, a life, and
Yep.
a feel that just feels like it's lacking in this industry. There was a game called The Last Night. Do you remember that one, Matt, that was shown a long time ago? I'll just show
No.
it to you. It was announced it was going to be this darling of, it was a very similar style. And apparently there was a lot of drama with the developer, and maybe it was actually like uh not real, not a real game. They showed it and it wasn't real, but and then just went away. So this replaced game, I feel like, has gotten kind of replaced by it. But let me just show you really quick if you want to see this, because it was a scenario where sometimes you see games too early, they don't happen, and then you just feel sad. Like, what happened with that game?
Mhm.
Let me. Sorry, this is like me, and you may. Uh, Oh, this is wrong. I think I'm spelling it wrong. Like doing night, like night, but it's the last night. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna bring this up. This was shown at E3 2017, Matt. You may remember this game. It is like cyberpunk. It is full on pixel art in a really cool way. It looks neat. The aesthetic is amazing.
I do think I remember this. Yeah.
And let's see, I'll just fast forward a little bit, but I mean, it's like this pixely look that is just amazing. Like, how can this be a game? It looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks
And
super cool. I do think I remember this.
like the super blown out large pixels, but it's showing you something like in a way that just looks so, it's like this is a game. If they had the hardware now back in the
Yeah.
16-bit era, this
Yeah.
is what I would want them to make.
Yeah.
And it's like, this game never, I mean, it's probably dead. It's been 9 years, right? So I mean, was this game dead? Was it even real?
That's
It
a
just
good
makes you
question.
sad. But we are getting replaced next month. It's on Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
and you can buy it anywhere. So
Right around
we
the
are
corner.
blessed. Yep, absolutely. So Matt, that is it for our show. We learned a little bit more about your gaming past, your present, and your future. I'll be curious to see where your daughter's tastes in games go, where
Mm-hmm.
you end up, and what's going to happen to you next. And you know, I'm happy people like you exist in the world of gaming, because you make great content, and you know, you do things with a positive bent. So with that, Matt, if people want to know why you're awesome to listen to and watch, where should they check you out?
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciated coming and hanging out with you. It's always so much fun to chat and deep dive on stuff together. You can find me over on Blue Sky at Matt Silversoul, and then you can find my work over at Console Creatures. So that's www.consolecreatures.com, and also on YouTube, and butwhythough.net. You can find me in both of those places. And our podcast, PlayStation Generation, all things PlayStation, each and every week, goes live 8 p.m. on Sunday nights. So come hang out.
Awesome. Matt, I have to pause though before you owe me an answer.
Nintendo.
Nintendo, I love it.
Yeah, I got there. I got there.
All right, so folks, just recap. We have our rivalries. We have PlayStation Lame Station and PS Flush. Xbox is Y-Box and Xblot. Wow, that might need an explanation on that one, Matt, to the masses. And we have Nintendo. We have Nintendon't and Nintendo.
Yep, Nintendo.
Okay. Do I need to like make it BLO or
no? BLW works totally.
So people are like, they get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Matt, if you do me a favor, once this is out, share that poll with your socials, your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I will do the same, and then we'll regroup together in Discord or chat, and we'll come up with our official terms, and we'll dub them and share those among the masses, and make
Sounds
sure
good,
if
my
they
friend.
hate someone, if they use the right one that makes us all laugh and it makes gaming better. So thank you for that, Matt. I think we've done something very special today in the world of gaming fiefdoms. So
Agreed.
I appreciate your support on that. So with that, I'm Todd Oxtra. You can find me at Todd Oxtra, at T Oxtra on Blue Sky and Instagrams. But more importantly, at the Fandom Foundry, we're here to really get voices to the creators, the people that are doing awesome things, and share what they love to the fans that love the things they make. You can follow us on at the Fandom Foundry on all socials, Instagram and Blue Sky primarily. You can also check us out on our Discord, our YouTube channel. We have a new network feed for all of our podcasts in one handy feed on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and your own podcast source wherever you find them. And then lastly, check out thefandomfoundry.com, where you can check out all the stuff we're doing, ways to contact us, and also our merch page, which I need to work on. So there you go. But you can buy stuff. I would just say it's not what I want to get people. So with that, that is it for the show. Matt, thank you so much for telling people why you still play. And remember, folks, if you play a game and you love it, you know what? Embrace it and make sure you tell people why you love it. Thanks all. Have a good day, and we'll chat later. See you online in the gaming world.